welcome to City Life. It's really good to have you with us today. Now, over the school holidays, we gave some blank canvases out to some young viewers of City Life, and we're starting to get them back. This one here is from Niall Stewart, age 14, and that's called Beforehand. So if you've still got a canvas out there, start sending them in, and we'll start putting them up on the walls. Now, today on the program, a campaign for a Memorial Reserve Covenant, the Pegasus Fun Run. We've talked a lot about sustainability, but what does it really mean? And style with Stephanie Rumble. But first on the program, Reid from the EQC. Good to have you here.
Morning, Kanita.
Now, where are we up to at the moment on inspections?
Broken through 45,000 full inspections this week. A large number left to go, obviously, so we've got 220 teams working hard on the ground in Canterbury, 40 of those in the Port Hills, 90 odd still working through the east and parts of the orange area, and the balance in Waimakariri area in the green zones. Okay,
so you've done 45,000 out of how many?
100 total from September and February, over 360,000. But we'd inspected 130,000 prior to February. We then did the 180,000 rapid inspections, and now we've completed 45. So, yeah, still a few to go, but on track.
You are on track?
Absolutely.
So where's the deadline? What's the deadline?
Well, we're still working towards the 19th of December.
Okay.
And all our modelling over the last couple of weeks has showed us that we'll achieve that. Obviously, there's a couple of factors. Weather will impact if we get some more snow. But, you know, perfect world stuff, we'll get there.
Now, I know you introduced the iPads.
Yes.
How are they going?
Really well received. Guys really like them. A lot more accurate, a lot easier to produce the paper out the end of them. So we're working this week to get an email component on that so that when we've inspected your house, we can push the button and you'll get the documentation emailed straight away. So, okay. Yeah, really, really good. Big step forward. All
right. Now, how does it work out there on the field? Are there, like, 2 EQC inspectors, or is it just one person out there? How does it work?
Teams of 2. Yep. One's an assessor, and we ask them to do the interface with the claimant. The other is a trade qualified builder, minimum qualification, so they quantify the damage, cost it out.
Okay, all right. Now, EQC has maintained a Standard & Poor's AAA rating. What does this actually mean?
It means that we're really well positioned to meet all the claims from the 12 events that have occurred since September 4. So I think in financial terms means we're in a really good position. People shouldn't be concerned that we're going to run out of money or we're not going to be able to pay their claim. Okay, so there will always be money there for EQC claims? Absolutely. For all the events? Absolutely. All right. Now let's look at some of the facts. How many claims have you received all up? If you count them in insurance terms, over 560,000. So, but when you lodge a claim, Kanita, one claim covers your land, building and dwelling. So there's well over 363,000 of those. And as I said, 130 we'd seen after September, before February, and we've done 45,000 full inspections now. Okay, and how much has been paid out to people in Canterbury? Yeah, well over $1 billion. That includes over $100 million in contents payments. So I think in all we've paid well over 50,000 contents claims. So, and we're picking up speed on those as we speak, which is really positive. All right. Is there still, or why is there so much confusion surrounding the supporting documentation? Yeah, not sure about that. I've thought it was reasonably clear, but I work in the building, so I would. But if there is confusion, we've now got a template on the website. So if people are confused, they need just to check off what they're doing, go to eqc.govt.co.nz and they'll find it there. Okay. And that should give them a good basis to work from. All right, let's talk about what supporting documentation actually is. Yeah, look, purchase receipts. So if you've got a receipt for the new plasma TV, that'll be great. Owner's manuals, photographs. So if you've lost some china and it's badly smashed up, if you've got some photos of it, we're happy to receive that as well. Okay. Why don't you think the message is getting out there about supporting documentation? Yeah, not sure. Not sure. You know, it's standard across the insurance industry that if you make a contents claim, you have to be able to support your loss. Maybe our communication hasn't been that good around that, I'm not sure, but we'll, as I said, there's now a facility on the website, so hopefully that'll help people out. All right. Now, coming back to that question that I put to you last week about my sister, thank you. Someone from EQC did give her a call. Fletcher's was to be in touch.
She hasn't heard.
No, I might have to shake that tree again today, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with Fletchers when we get back to the office, so I'll talk to them.
All right, so I'll catch up with you again next week about that.
Great.
I'm going to keep on your tail about that one. Okay, what's focus this week for EQC?
Well, obviously, inspections. We really want to get through that green zone, get as many claims to Fletchers as we can so that we can get them up to capacity. They're doing a great job at the moment. Their numbers are really, really good. But our focus is inspections, 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 get them done by Christmas.
All right, and that's eqc.govt.nz.
That's the one.
0800 damage.
Yes. Now, if you're concerned that you've been missed from any of the zones, the red zone, the orange zone, please ring that number, let us know. We'll log your call and we'll get you bumped up the priority list.
They do actually answer quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah, turnaround times from the call centre is up with where it should be internationally. Yeah, we're really happy with the way we've improved in that area.
Okay. Now, if you do have a question for Reid, why don't you email me, kaneta@ctv.co.nz, and we could put it to him next week. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
All right. Thanks for coming on the programme.
Yeah, watch out for your sister.
Now I'd like to welcome Evan, who's part of the campaign for the Memorial Reserve Covenant. Good to have you on City Life.
I think it's nice to be here.
Now tell me about this campaign.
Okay, the aim of the campaign is to give some certainty to the future of the residential red zone lands. Basically to covenant the lands so that they are memorial reserve in perpetuity, so they become permanent reserve lands.
Okay, so what made you come up with this idea?
The reason for it is that at the moment Minister Brownlee is saying that those lands need to be grassed over, remain fallow for years until it can be decided what can be done with them. It's our belief that all that'll do is create a great big scar right through the eastern suburbs, and a large swathe of land will have a black cloud over it. Nobody will know what's going to happen to it. It'll be basically a wound of uncertainty running right through the east. It makes it very difficult for the east to plan for its future. It's very hard to know then what infrastructure to put in place to support those lands and what the surrounding neighbourhoods are likely to look like in the future. Okay,
so what will this memorial reserve look like?
I think that's something that's open to further discussion, but I'd anticipate it being set aside for parks and sporting facilities, various public amenities, including I would suggest a large area for parkland for both native and exotic plantings. I don't think there's any need to get into a debate of one or the other. There's room for both. I enjoy walking through native bush. I enjoy walking around the estuary and the marshlands, but I also enjoy walking along the riverbank with weeping willows. I think there's room for both. There's plenty enough land for that. It's also important, I think, for the people that are leaving those lands, where they've got to give up their family homes, that they can do so with some peace of mind, knowing what's going to happen to that land in the future, because they've invested a lot of their life there, and it's important for them to be able to go through a healing process so that they can leave that place and go somewhere else.
Okay.
Hopefully not too far away.
Now, how are you putting this idea to?
The idea is just out there at the moment in order to see what support there is for it, and I must say to date there's been tremendous support for it, and the idea would be then to gather a network of people that are of like mind and take that idea through to the government, who ultimately have the say in it. They're the people that are ultimately buying the land, and through Sarah and the city councillors as well. Okay.
Can you see this spreading to other areas in the city, this idea?
Absolutely. Certainly I've spoken to people from the hill suburbs, I've spoken to people from the Parklands, South Shore and in the Waimak, all of which have potential red zone lands, and I think all of them feel the same way. They'd like to see those lands, if they're that knackered that they can't be built on, why don't we just release them back to nature, put them into public reserve, and then find the places we can build on. It means that those areas can have a shot in the arm, so that they can build around that, use it as a backbone to develop those areas in the future.
Okay, tell me about the other people who are involved with this campaign.
It's a wide mixture of people. It's only in its young days. I've spoken to a number of meetings. Certainly, there's a lot of membership from Concern, an organisation that I'm involved with, my community group, that have all tremendously supportive. But this is an independent initiative to Concern. Also, many people that I've spoken to in the eastern suburbs. There's a Facebook group called Avon River Park that has something like 1,500 likes on it at the moment. They're very much of the same mind, and I'd probably end up our campaign merging with them. So there's an enormous amount of support from people from all the different zones, from red zone folk that are having to abandon their land, green zone folk that live nearby, even those that live some distance away because they see it as an amenity for Christchurch as a whole, plus people from the orange zone lands not sure what's happening to their lands yet, and people from the white zones.
Now, we've had you on the program before with Concern. So you've taken some time out from Concern to work on this campaign?
I've taken a step back from the management team of Concern. I'm still a member of Concern and very much supportive of where Concern's going. That's making tremendous inroads and traction around engaging the community in all the recovery processes. This is an independent initiative. It's about what's happening to those specific lands in particular. It's looking perhaps more in terms of what the future might look like rather than dealing with the here and now.
Okay. So how's your community? How's your home?
My home's in the red zone. I'm in the process of leaving that. I haven't been able to live there since February. The communities where I live on the eastern side of Richmond and around Avonside and Avondale are pretty much decimated. Many of the streets there have very few houses that are occupied still. Most of them are pretty much barren wastelands already. And that's what's so debilitating to the spirit, really. It's really important, I think, for the health of the East to inject some new life there, to give some hope and aspiration.
Okay, so how important is it for you to have this memorial reserve up and running, get this up and running?
I think it's important for me and my family. I think it's important for the communities that I live in. Well, one of the things that we're suggesting is that each of the households that are having to give up their land and move elsewhere have the opportunity to have a small bronze plaque, maybe A5 size, that just with a short inscription, just memorialising the fact that they brought up their family there and lived there. There's certainly those kind of plaques elsewhere. I know I come from a Kaipoi Borough school, and when I was in Standard 6, we wrote our names on a brass plaque that's still sitting under trees there, and I take my grandchildren there and things like that. And
great.
That's all important part of family history, and I'd like to see that opportunity be given to householders to do that.
All right. How can other people get involved with this campaign?
There's an email address. We'd ask people just to email us with their contact details, and we can then put them in touch with the website and things like that. The email address is mrccampaign@gmail.com.
Okay, MRC Campaign. So that's Memorial Reserve Covenant Campaign,
yes, campaign.
@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
Evan, really good to have you back on the program.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back after this break when we talk about the 3 elements of sustainability. You're back with City Life, and I'd like to welcome Professor Neville Slade from Victor Valley College in California. All the way from California.
California, yes.
So what brings you to Christchurch?
Well, we were travelling. I got the opportunity to come and give a presentation at the World Environmental Education Congress in Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago. And then we've come to visit family and just get a little bit of a feel for what's going on with sustainability in other parts of the world. And had family here in Christchurch that were very much affected by the earthquake and wanted to come down and see what was going down on this part of the world.
Okay, so what is the history of sustainable development?
Basically, it comes out of the environmental movement, but it's different. And it's in the 60s and 70s, had a lot of concern about pollution and wastage of natural resources. And so a number of people started to activate, people like Rachel Carson, and we got a lot of policy coming to play in first world countries. So things like Clean Air Acts, Clean Water Acts, and agencies, like in the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency. And from there, it's basically evolved on to the United Nations picked up the banner. And really, I think the rest of the world just basically said, you know, you guys in the first world can't be harping on us on environmental issues when we can't feed our children. So we're going to have to cut down a rainforest once in a while, and you need to make sure that there's more equity and more concern about our standard of living and our society in this discussion.
Okay. So what's your idea of a sustainable environment, I suppose, city?
Yeah, a sustainable city, a sustainable world, it depends on the context, but basically the concept is that let's not focus in on one particular criteria or other. And basically we talk about three criteria. We talk about the social, so having a healthy social structure where people are safe and your political system works well. A healthy economy is absolutely essential, a viable economy, and employment, obviously, that comes out of the economy. And then, of course, a healthy environment. We all know that our natural ecology, our ecosystems are under strain. We all have that feeling. But sustainable development says, you know what, we can balance those three things. So we can balance the economic with the environment, with the social. And it's really quite interesting because the third world, developing countries have done this. They are forced to do this because that's the only way. If they've got a natural resource like one of the ones we look at in Costa Rica is a turtle reserve. If the turtles are their resource and the turtle's in trouble, they have to balance these three things. In the first world, we sometimes have to be pushed into it. And, you know, we don't necessarily take it up automatically because we're so focused on economically driven, you know, what's the fourth quarter profit sort of model, which is very consumer driven and very waste heavy, lots of waste.
Okay, so you say there are three elements to
Yes.
it. Does this differ from other people's perspective of a sustainable city?
Yeah.
Hard to say.
It's a hard one to say, yeah. We wish we could come up with another word, and there is another word. Another word is green, and you know, it's green development. And yes, I think it does. It's very much according to the thinking on sustainable development. No, this doesn't differ. This is the basic principles. What has happened is it's been sort of subverted, and people have used green for their own uses. So definitely, and very, not with any real ulterior motive, but it's just sort of happened. So environmental people have used, people with ecological concerns, which are very valid, have used green to push a certain social environmental need, or they might push it for a certain social need. We're just saying that green development, sustainable development, really is a balancing of all three of these things. And sustainable development, if you imagine three spheres, sustainable development is that core in the middle when you get the balance.
Okay.
And we believe that in first world countries like New Zealand, that's totally possible. It just takes some planning and what we call a sustainability ethic, where everybody's striving to find this balance and respects that each people that are a little bit more polarized in any one of these spheres can be brought to the center. Maybe there's some trade-offs. Maybe you don't get everything you want, but you can come up with sustainable development, which really is about the future of the kids. The actual definition of sustainable development that the United Nations came up, the Brundtland, is meeting our present needs while making sure that we meet the needs of the future of our children. And so if everybody, I believe, everybody just come together around the future of the children and say, you know, we don't think that we have a really good future for our children, we're worried about our own future, then we all have a common purpose, and then we can balance these different needs and come up with some solutions that vary with the context, but are the way to go. And a lot of people think that way.
Why is it so important to think of tomorrow's children?
Well,
I know that sounds mean, but...
Well, I just think we're wired that way. I think that, you know, if you've had children, that's what one of our purposes is I think we're put here to take things and rebuild and recreate with what we're given. And I'm not sure that I'm speaking for everyone, but I believe most people are concerned about the future of our children. And at least at that level, they're going to want to take responsibility, do what they can to ensure that they have a future. I'm sure nobody wants to think of a future where children don't have opportunity, don't have hope. So, you know, as a father, you know, if you've ever had your own children, it's kind of almost a silly question. I mean, but I'm sure that I believe everybody understands that we can't just live just for ourselves. We must leave something for all the world's children, almost 7 billion of them.
All right. Now, the three elements,
Yes.
social, economic and environmental, how important is it for the three of these to come together for a sustainable city?
It's really important, and I guess I'll just rephrase that a little bit. I mean, it's kind of the question of where do you start? And where I think it starts actually starts in the social sphere. I think we have a really good idea of what a good economy looks like and how to make that happen, and the businessmen and corporations know how to do that. I think we have a pretty good idea of what's wrong with the environment. I'm not negative on the environment. I don't think we're all going to fry up tomorrow. I think our technology and our thinking and our science, we just needs to be put more into action. But it's the social side that we lack in. So what we've seen in other parts of the world is it's social action groups. They're very diverse. And at this point, we even think it's kind of like a social revolution. They think that there may be 30,000 of these social action groups in the United States working on various aspects of sustainability. It might be a social issue, equity with a certain ethnic group. It might be restoring a stream bed. But these social action groups come together and they have a cause, they have a need, and they organize in an infrastructure that actually works and respects others and cares for others, and in particular, if you have a purpose of caring for the future generations, it's these social action groups that are normally very flat in terms of their leadership, no iconic leaders, very connected on the internet. That one of the drivers in all of this is the social media and the internet. I can have a certain cause and I can talk to people all over the world and share my message basically from my sitting room.
Okay.
So it's about really getting the social thing straight. And in a place like New Zealand, I think you've got so much potential because you had a very well-defined social structure, political system. I'm sure everybody doesn't think it works that great. Nobody ever does. But it's there. And you have a democracy. And so within that, now let's let these social action groups, these sustainability action groups come forward and start moving forward with their ideas and basically having a framework where those certain needs are met. But then if we've got a lot of these working all in concert and a structure, a sustainability ethic that knows we need to balance all these needs, I think it can work.
Okay. And so finally, that's how you think it will work in Christchurch, with all these groups coming together?
I think you have an amazing opportunity. I mean, I want to make really clear, you know, my family was very much affected by what happened during Christchurch, and I've seen some of the devastation, to people's lives, and I know, my condolences to people's lives that have been so badly affected. But yes, and the other side of the coin, it is an opportunity. You've kind of shaken up the bag, and so there's opportunity to put things back together in a different way. And so potentially, if maybe the economic side was too strong, too powerful, or maybe certain government entities weren't cooperating and working as well as they could in putting in certain policies, those can be realigned and reworked so that there's an atmosphere where people can be very creative. I think this is the key. We want to feel like you can take responsibility, and if you do something, you can actually make change. And that's this climate of entrepreneurship and creativity, and you know, with the internet, with social media, and with a place like this where there's so much need, I think you'll see some very interesting leadership come up from some of these groups. So I think it's a very exciting time. I'm not predict that that's what's going to happen, but knowing New Zealanders, and tough as they are, and how they can beat the Springbok rugby team from where I'm from, they must be able to at least put this back together.
Yeah, that's right. Neville, thank you so much for coming on the program. Enjoy your time in Christchurch.
Thank you very much.
After the break, we catch up with Sport Canterbury. welcome back to City Life. Now there's a big fun run coming up. Claire, tell me all about it.
Definitely. So in October, the Northern Outlook Pegasus Fun Run and Walk is on, the 9th of October. So, yeah, that's coming up in 8 weeks' time.
So how long do we have to run for?
Oh, well,
or walk for. There we go. How long do we walk for?
Well, there's lots of options. There's a 2.5k, a 5k and a 10k option. So it's definitely targeting everyone who's interested in participating in an event. So anyone from family and kids, new to activity or returning back to activity, or all the experts out there as well. So definitely a good mix of distances, and obviously there's walking and running as well, so it's suitable for everyone.
All right, so you're putting this on to get people out there, get moving, and they're coming up to, it'll be spring by then.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons. The thing that's been happening recently is people are struggling with their motivation to be active in Christchurch at the moment with everything that's been going on. So events are a really good way to get you motivated to be active. So, but even though that is the case, there's been a lot of cancelled events since the earthquake for obvious reasons. So it's really exciting to see that these more and more events are getting put on the calendar. And this is just one that Sport Canterbury is supporting to get up and running and get people out there and hopefully get them motivated to be active. So not only for this event, but in the long run as well.
Okay, how do we build on our motivation levels?
Yeah, so,
or how do we get motivation levels?
No, that's a good question. So one way is to participate in an event like this fun run, because having a set target or goal can be really helpful. It gives you a bit of a sense of purpose in your activity because you've got something you're working towards that you're hoping to achieve. So that's one really good way. Another good thing about an event is you tend to have a training schedule or program, which we can talk about later, but that means that you kind of know each week what and when you're doing it. A lot of people who are busy feel they can struggle to find the time for their activity, but if it's planned out in front of them, you kind of get up and like, right, this is what I'm doing today. So having a planned timetable for an event's really helpful. And another good thing about an event is that buzz and energy of being involved with lots of people, having some fun, because if you enjoy what you're doing, you're more likely to continue on with it afterwards. So if you enjoy, no matter what your activity is, if you find something you enjoy, you will continue on with it. And taking part in an event, if you really enjoy it, you're more likely to continue on. So.
All right, so how do we work ourselves up to doing this? What is it, 2.5, 5 or 10 kilometre run walk? Definitely.
So it depends where you're at. I guess where we will be, where we would like to be targeting would be those who are new to activity or who are returning back to activity, so struggled since the earthquake. So it'd be definitely from the start. So Sophie's going to be coming along each week to talk a little bit about some information and training. Training tips, if you like, over the next 8 weeks. So starting at very much at the level where you could potentially be doing nothing at the moment and getting you up to whatever level you're wanting to be at, whether it's the 2.5k, 5k or 10k, and just small things like, how much you should be walking that week, or what's some good walking tracks around, what's some good parks to be training in, and
sounds good.
Yeah, and how to make it fun, and like I said, with that key of using it as a way to get motivated to be active, because that's the most important thing. Is that at the moment there's a lot of the awareness is growing, which is fantastic, about what a significant role activity can play in our recovery.
Yeah. Well, the last time you were actually on the program, you were with Sophie, and you're talking about the Be Active programs. How are they going?
They're going fantastic, thank you. So we're up to week 2 of the Be Active program. So they're a way of providing some additional support to people who are needing it with their activity at the moment. So for some, just taking part in an event would be enough of a motivator. People at the moment are finding, though, that they may need that additional support. So our Be Active programs are a really good way to get that.
So what kind of things are you doing again in those programs?
Anything and everything. No, we've got Zumba, some exercise, we try out the gym introductions, line dancing, circuit, so a big variety.
Cool, all right.
Badminton, sports,
So we're having Sophie on the program to go over training things for this this Pegasus Fun Run, Northern Outlook
Pegasus Fun Run.
Okay, so how can we get involved if we just think, okay, I'm going to set myself the goal or the target to do this? Can we sign ourselves up?
Yeah, definitely. So a good place to start would be to look on the website, which is www.pegasusfunrun.co.nz, and that has all the information there. So I think it's $10 an adult and $5 for a child. and that's all going back to sport recovery in Canterbury, the program. So it's reasonable. Look on the website, it's got all the information, the course details, and it's a really good place to start that and listening in each week. Obviously on a Friday morning, I think Sophie's here, and she'll provide you with all the information you need.
Okay, so pegasusfunrun.co.nz.
That's right.
Claire,
yes.
really good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're back with City Life, and I'd like to welcome back to the program Warren Head from the Headliner magazine. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Now, why are the financial markets under so much pressure at the moment?
Well, the United States is to blame for most of it, and the Europeans the rest of it. And this problem hasn't really been a new one. It's been building for some months now. In the United States, it all came to a bit of a head last week when the Congress voted to pass this debt limit bill. But that process was quite long-winded, and it really annoyed the hell out of some of the people who rate countries in terms of their credit worthiness. In particular, Standard & Poor's, which is a big American institution, ironically enough, based in New York, founded in 1941, I believe. About 2 years back, during the GFC, the 2008 crisis, they were criticised for being rather slow off the mark in rating the situation at that time. This time, they've been criticised for being a little bit quick to quickly point the finger at the United States administration and say, this gold-plated AAA credit rating you've always held, the United States has always held, will be downgraded if you don't deal with the big debt problem which has been building since the GFC. So they endeavoured last week to push a bill through the House which actually lifted the debt, didn't actually fix the debt. So the issue really is that the debt problem is building and not going away. So the Standard & Poor's people downgraded the United States credit rating to AA+. Now, that brought them down to our level, which is still a pretty good level to be at worldwide. So that's what triggered the crisis, and that occurred on Friday night. And of course, the American markets are one day back of us, so they had to go through their first bout of adjustment to that credit rating on Monday, their time.
Okay, when do you think this will all stop?
Well, it'll go round and round the globe a few more times, and it should be slowing, but today it wasn't at all. The markets opened this morning with the NZX down about 90 points yesterday, Australia off about 100 yesterday, but the United States market was off 433 points, and so it's quite a big fall, and so there's inevitably going to be an adjustment to that. So when our markets opened at 10 a.m. in Wellington, Auckland this week, the markets immediately adjusted downwards, and within 3 minutes we saw the market approaching about 100 points off. So it's going to take a little bit of settling down. It'll burn itself out, as it always does, but before it happens, people selling will lose some money in terms of their shares. People buying think they're buying bargains.
And are they?
Well, I don't know any more than that, because if the selling continues for some time, markets will continue to adjust. But most of our leading stocks have come off quite a bit. The other adjustment which is occurring, of course, is the adjustment to the currency. And we've had the Kiwi very high in the last few weeks. You know, we got up to 88 cents, and we were starting to talk about parity with the United States. And now if the market's reacting the way they are, everyone's sitting back in awe and saying, you know, how's this occurred? What should we do? So they panic a little and they go to safe currencies. The Swiss seem to be the favourite place to go. Unbelievable, really, because in Switzerland there is no interest rate. They've just cut their debt to zero interest rate. So you get nothing on your money, but people just like the currency. They go to the Japanese yen and you say, boy, that's unbelievable after everything they've been through this year, the tsunami and the earthquake, and yet the Japanese yen is seen as a safe haven stock. Will the Kiwi become a safe haven stock? Remains to be seen, and right now it's off a bit. It's come down, it's adjusted downwards, so people travelling will not get as much for the currency. People with money overseas can bring it home and get a bit more. So we'll see a bit of adjustment like that.
All right. And finally, how does this affect people with mortgages, home loans?
Well, in theory, you should see interest rates move up in the economies where there's adjustment in terms of their credit rating. So theoretically, rates should go up a little bit in the United States. Perversely, that doesn't seem to be the case in history. When people have lost their AAA credit rating, they have tended to see a little drift off in their interest rates. Happened in Ireland, for example, and other places. We are very fortunate in New Zealand that we live so close to Australia and close enough to China to make a difference. They are our big drivers of our economy, not the United States economy. And the other two big things that are occurring for us are the Rugby World Cup coming through, which will be a huge impetus to growth, and then, of course, Christchurch. Ironically, the Christchurch earthquake rebuild will be one of the great stabilisers of the New Zealand economy for the next several years. $15 billion rebuild. So Christchurch is actually going to be one of the great strengths of the New Zealand economy, and people in Christchurch should know that, because it also means that there should be some feeling of confidence about our market, and our Prime Minister has been saying, look at us, we've borrowed everything we needed to borrow. We don't have to borrow it expensively now. But come back to your question about how does that affect you at home. Interest rates are starting to come off. There was an expectation that interest rates on loans, home mortgages, would go up around about the end of the year. That's now been delayed, possibly well into 2012. And this week, we've seen the banks starting to cut rates. And the ASB has been the first to cut mortgage home loans on fixed rates.
All right. Now, Warren, how can we keep an eye on this?
Well, we follow it. Headline is a fortnightly publication. We plug the gap in the time sequence by having a pretty good website, which is headliner.co.nz, and we follow it there throughout the day. We have video reports also from sources in Australia where we cover the Australian markets. That changes out frequently. So it's all there on the website, and everyone will find it there.
Headliner.co.nz.
Thank you very much.
Warren, good to have you in the program. After the break, we catch up with a young fashion designer. Welcome back. Now, these are the pants that got Georgia to the finals of a major design competition, right?
Yeah.
Have a seat. Beautiful pants.
Thank you.
Now, for me, they are ABBA inspired, but they're not really, are they?
No. Basically, they come from a collection called Wonder Axis, which kind of came about from, firstly, my work experience at start of the year in Sydney with a designer called Therese Rawson. And basically, from that, she wrote my brief for the collection, and then I found inspiration from a Chinese artist called Sai Gojiang. And basically, he works with gunpowder and a lot of explosions, and it's about capturing these moments of wonder, I guess, in an atmosphere. So then I kind of looked into landscapes and got my colour palette from that. So the whole collection is this sort of colour with tans, and then I have a bright, bright orange as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So you sent up 3 designs.
Yeah.
First of all, I should ask you about the competition.
Yes.
Tell me about the competition.
Okay, so basically the competition is all around New Zealand. You have to have studied in a tertiary sort of course in New Zealand, and you can be up to 4 years out of that course. So basically, you send in three looks, and then they have 3 industry judges who come along, and then from that group they pick 10 finalists, and then those 10 finalists, it goes out to a public vote on Facebook. So it's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And then people vote, and then they count all the votes, and then top 3 get to show at Fashion Week, show their collections at Fashion Week.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So you're top 10, is that right?
Yes, top 10 at the moment. Yeah.
All right, so it's still out on Facebook?
Yes, and the votes close on the 14th, and then it's announced on the 16th of this month.
So you'll be getting friends and friends of friends to like
I'm up to
you.
like 3 a.m. every morning.
Really?
Vote for me, vote for me.
We did well to get here this morning.
Yes, I know.
Now, you've studied at CPIT.
Yeah.
Are you still at CPIT?
Yes, I'm in my final year, so my 3rd year.
So tell me about the course there.
So it's very industry based. So you learn pattern making, sewing, tailoring, all of the technical side of it, and then in your final year, you design 2 collections. One that gets shown at debut, which is in the middle of the year, and then one at pitch, which is at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're a student, you're in your final year, and you're competing against people who are out of courses, tertiary education courses, for up to 4 years.
Yes.
This is pretty nerve-wracking
It
stuff.
is, it's so nerve-wracking.
Do you know anybody else you're up against? Some of the designers?
I don't know any of them, but I don't know them personally, but I can see all of their designs and who's got them through and things.
Okay.
So.
Let's talk about the other 2 designs, because you've got these pants.
Yeah.
Tell me about the other 2 pieces, garments that you
Yeah, so I had
submitted.
one full-length sleeve wool jacket, which kind of came down to knee length, and it had all these different panel lines in it, and they were sort of enhanced with bright orange piping, and then everything has like gold buttons, and they went with these silk sheer flared pants, which have these shorts that go over the top, so they're tight and then they float out. And then the other outfit was a bright orange silk vest that had these sort of pleats that came up like this, and they had gold buttons, and then these leather shorts that had flares inserted on the outside, and then a nude sort of silk tank that kind of hung down.
Cool.
Yeah, so the textures are all different.
So would you wear those other 2 pieces yourself?
Yes. This is the first time I've worn these. I wore them today to show you, but I'm trying to keep everything really safe in case I get to Fashion Week and then it's on show. And secret. Yes.
So do you have just one of each garment?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
So they're
Fashion
one-offs.
Week.
Yes, Fashion Week.
So when's the top 10 happening? The 16th of August, you said?
Yes, is the announcement.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think the show at Fashion Week, when we show, is on the 1st of September, so it's the very last day of the Fashion Week.
All right. Now, you're Christchurch's only designer at this competition.
Yes.
So we really need to go to Facebook.
Yes,
and
everyone
vote
needs
for
to
you.
vote now.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Okay, so when you log into your Facebook, you can type up the top in the little sort of URL,
Search,
the search thing, Westpac Young Designer.
Okay.
And then it will come up to the main Westpac page, and then you can click on contestants, and then Wonder Access Georgia Currie comes up, and it's just one girl in the wool coat and the flared nude pants, and you click on that, and then there's a big green button that says vote, and you hit on that, and you can vote once every 24 hours.
Okay. And you can vote for yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, why wouldn't you? So what would it be like to get to Fashion Week?
I'd be so happy. It would be the best opportunity I could ask for. It would take 5 years out of my long-term goals. You know, you get if you get to Fashion Week, not only do you get to meet great contacts, but you get if you win that, then the judges pick an overall winner, and you get $5,000 in a startup business account and mentoring from a fashion person in the industry for a year, and it's just too much.
Exciting.
Too much.
Now, you must be one of the youngest designers as well.
They don't have the ages up there,
Right.
but because I'm still at school, I guess that probably makes me probably one of the younger ones. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to go and vote for you.
Yes, do.
Westpac
Young Designer, Georgia Currie, Wonder Access.
All right.
Yes.
Good luck. Let us know how you get on.
Thank you.
From a young designer to a style guru, Stephanie Rumble, good to have you here.
Nice to see you again too, Kanita.
No, I love your hair. It looks so good.
Oh, thank you. Look, I'm a chameleon. I just decide the next haircut I'm going to change it, and it was blow dried straight for me at the weekend, and I saved it for you today.
Wow, it's lasted a long time.
Thank you. A lot of work with the straighteners, and once I get in the rain, it will be all over. So let's hope the weather stays fine.
Yeah, well, it's nice out at the moment. Now, we're talking about jeans today.
Absolutely.
You're wearing jeans. I like those ones.
Thank you. I thought I had to wear my jeans on the show, but I wanted to have that dressy look rather than the casual look. I've got lots of jeans to show you as we go through the segment as well, because it's such a big topic.
Yeah. Why are we so scared about buying jeans, women in particular?
I think it's getting the right fit. We see all these people out there with jeans that are the wrong size, with muffin tops spilling over, and we worry that if we buy jeans, we're going to look like that. So I also think jeans are a barometer of how we feel. So if you're feeling a little bit, pre-menstrual or a wee bit sort of overweight or having a bad day about yourself, your jeans will reinforce that sometimes, especially if they're very rigid. So jeans are a barometer for us, yeah.
Are there a pair of jeans out there for everyone or everybody? let's be honest?
I don't think so. I think you need to shop around. You need to get to know yourself. So get to know what your body type actually is. And from there, you can go and pick jeans that suit you rather than just being a slave to fashion.
OK. How many pairs of jeans do you think we need in our wardrobes?
Probably only 3. A pair for cleaning the toilet and doing the garden. You know, and having around home.
Pants?
Yeah, you could have track pants or old leggings for that, probably. Yes.
Yeah.
One pair that's been relegated to that.
OK.
A pair that you can wear out, you know, sort of smartish jeans, and then a nice dressy pair, a dark dressy pair. Everyone looks good in dark jeans.
Because you can dress jeans up, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's just wearing the right shoes. Really important to wear the right shoes, especially if you're a bit heavier in the leg. Like, there's nothing worse than a flat pair of shoes and a heavy pair of legs and a tight pair of jeans. So, like, for myself, I mean, I'm not hugely heavy in the leg, but I'm not really thin, so always wear a wee heel, feel $1 million.
OK. Now, what's the latest style? Are there styles at the moment, or can you just sort of get away with anything, really?
Well, we've had a real sort of season, many seasons, lots and lots of skinny jeans. And look, that's been fantastic for some people and more challenging for others. But I'm very pleased to say that this season we're seeing a lot more wide leg jeans. I've got a pair to show you as we go through too. You know, wide leg jeans are really very much becoming vogue again, which is great for those ladies who are really slim in the legs and feel uncomfortable in skinny jeans.
OK. What should we be looking for when we're buying jeans?
OK, first off, make sure that the jeans are firm when you buy them. I know that's can be really challenging. If you buy them too big, they stretch between half and a size and a half. So they do stretch and give a lot, so it's really important that they're firm. OK. The other thing is, don't be scared to get them tailored. So, for example, many women have to buy them to fit their thighs and bottom, and they're really loose in the waist. So buy them to fit your thighs and bottom and get them tailored in the waist. Do not worry about that.
OK.
Yes.
And how much should we pay for a pair of jeans?
It depends on your budget, of course. I mean, you can buy jeans from Glassons, you can buy jeans from, you know, from sort of $29.95, or you can spend up to $700 on a pair of jeans, which is, you know, like a rather large investment for many people.
Okay.
So look, shall I go through what we've got here? OK, so what we have here, these two pairs of jeans here are called Not Your Daughter's jeans. Now, they're called Not Your Daughters because they're really not designed for the young population. They have loads of stretch in them, and they are very generously sized. So, and I have a lot of ladies, they're high on the rise. You can see they've got interesting pockets, a bit of bling as well. So Not Your Daughters are a really good choice. They're sort of mid-ish to high price point, not $700, but, you know, on sale you'd pick them up for $150.
OK.
Right? So that's good jeans for if you're a little bit
Where do we get those ones from?
You can get them from Vincent here in Christchurch, and also go online and check out the stockists in your area.
Oh, right, OK.
Yeah. Now, I've just got a pair of regular bootleg jeans. These are from Max. Max is one of my favourites, as you know. But, look, I have a pair of these, and I have to say they're one of my favourite pairs of jeans. Great price point. They're under $100, and really nice in the legs, good length, good fit, not too low on the rise.
OK.
It's a bootleg.
Right.
Good foot, curvy figures.
Now, this is an interesting colour.
Look, I know, and you know me, I have to throw in one of the trend-oriented pieces. So we've got 2 pairs from the House of G, or Glassons. So this first pair, we are seeing a lot of coloured jeans come through this season.
Like the 90s?
Yeah, like the 90s. I've worn them once before. So these are a very slim leg jean. I'd say these are for a slimmer figure, because a fuller-figured person, heavy in the legs, is going to look like sausage legs in those. OK. Now, what we have is an example of the wide leg jeans that are in vogue again.
OK.
So, you know, if you are happy with wide leg jeans, they are in vogue. These are from Glassons. You know, really good price point as well. These are retailing for $60.
Right.
So, lots of options there as well.
So, not only dark jeans, but we do have colours coming through this season. Of course there are colours, and if there are colours, you'll find them.
Absolutely.
All right, and I know that you would have blogged about this.
Yes, I have just blogged about it. There's quite a lot of good information in my blog this week about which jeans to choose for your body type. So check that out as well.
flairimage.co.nz.
That's the one.
Great to have you in the programme. See you next week. Now, that is City Life for today. Now, if there is someone you would like to hear from, why don't you get in touch with us? Canetta@ctv.co.nz, or you can call me 3777 033. Now, if you are one of those young people with a canvas out there that you've painted, get it into me so I can start putting it up on the walls. We've got 2 so far. I know there's about 10 others out there. So send those in and we can put them up on the wall. Again, if you'd like to get in touch with us, connetta@ctv.co.nz, call us 3777 033, or you can write to us, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.